Hello, listeners. My name is Raya El Amin, and welcome to the first episode of Progress Without Stress. Today, we are going to be talking about self-care, and while this may seem like such a basic topic for a first episode, self-care has a profound impact on our brain and our body, and I thought this would be the perfect way to kickstart this podcast series because the benefits of taking care of yourself are often underestimated, especially when it comes to its ability to de-stress and support neurological health. Did you know that a nighttime skincare routine or even an evening shower not only relaxes your mind but also lowers stress hormones in your body? This in turn preserves collagen and keeps your skin looking glowy and youthful. So just simple acts like applying a face mask or showering before bed can reduce cortisol levels in our brains. So let's explore the daily self-care habits that keep our brain and bodies stress-free. The first self-care habit is working out, which is very common amongst our generation these days, and I love that because it's more than just building muscle and getting those gains. It's about the mental challenge of working out, and that's what improves cognitive function in our brain because by engaging in these complex tasks of lifting weights or doing lat pull-downs or push-ups, for example, our brain is adapting to these challenges, and that's what boosts productivity because when we have the same routines and just are doing repetitive activities, our brain is not utilizing its neuroplasticity, and that's the brain's ability to form new neural connections and just change with growth and reorganization. Hence the term plasticity, referring to like how the brain is malleable like plastic. So just by trying a new workout routine and just mixing things up, we're allowing our brain to change and create new habits, which is very important because neuroplasticity is what improves cognitive function in our brain, and we need that to maintain our health and just, age gently. Another self-care habit is sleeping early. I'm convinced that no teenager in this generation goes to bed early. Like, even for me, 11 p.m. would be the earliest on a school day. But seriously, I feel like people often underestimate the importance of sleep. Like, that is a time that our brain is restoring and resetting itself. Just like think of it like a car in a racing event when the car is at the pit stop and they just like quickly change the tires and fuel it before it goes off into the race again. Just like the car, our brain cannot function properly without that maintenance, and in this case, sleep. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is sleep is crucial for our brains to function properly, and every day we're just making countless decisions and working hard, so it's only fair that we let it get the rest that it deserves. In fact, adequate sleep promotes mental clarity and emotional regulation. And although I partially blame school for the lack of sleep in Gen Z, just with like staying up and doing homework and sports and everything, another reason why I find myself in bed so late is because of procrastination. And once I stopped using my phone in between tasks, I found myself in bed by like 10:30 at the latest. And I know that's easier said than done, but I found this method that I like to call the 30-minute rule. And each night what I did is I'd aim to go to bed 30 minutes earlier than I did the night before. So let's say I was in bed at midnight on day one. I try to be in bed by like 11:30ish on day 2, and that night might not seem beneficial, but it's still making progress, and that's the goal of this podcast, to make progress. So, and then even just like as you continue this method, you will find that you will be in bed by like a reasonable hour every day, and then you'll make that your unofficial bedtime. So for all listeners, please try this method and let me know if it helped you and how it worked for you and just like your journey with your sleep, because it is so important, and it once you find yourself getting good night's rest every day, it will change your life, I promise. The next self-care habit is being in nature and going on walks. Many people may not know this, but just by being in the sun and going for a walk, that itself releases serotonin and dopamine and many different mood-boosting neurotransmitters in our brain. And that natural boost also enhances creativity and productivity because all these different chemicals are being sent to our brain, and that itself increases the flow of oxygen and nutrients. And actually, fun fact, hiking promotes a gray matter retention in important areas of our brain. For example, the hippocampus. It's this structure in our brain that's deeply embedded in the temporal lobe, and it's essentially responsible for memory and learning and the way we process emotions. So as we age, the volume of gray matter naturally decreases in our brain, and so the physical exercise of hiking preserves gray matter, which is a tissue in our brain that lets us function normally from day to day. So that is so important for us to have, especially as we age. And just by being in nature too, it itself reduces cortisol levels. And what cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone. So that's the hormone that comes out when we feel anxiety or stress. And cortisol can show up in many different ways. One side effect is increased oil production on our skin, and you'll see that as like breakouts or pimples. So that itself just shows you like self-care, being in nature, taking care of yourself. It's not just for your mental health and neurological well-being, but it's also going to reflect in your physical appearance and your physical being too. Self-care and happiness are interconnected, and I cannot stress how important it is to make time for yourself. And when you make yourself a priority, you will always find a way to incorporate some kind of self-care into your routine, no matter how small the act is. And anything that you do to benefit yourself, honestly, is considered self-care. It could be like little things, like preparing yourself a delicious meal, or watching your favorite show, or FaceTiming a friend. Those all contribute to positive emotions and are essential forms of self-care, no matter how simple they are. And honestly, there's nothing that self-care can't fix. And I think there's a saying, it's like, if you feel like you hate everyone, eat something. If you feel like everyone hates you, go to sleep. If you feel like you hate yourself, take a shower. If you feel like everyone hates everyone, go outside. I think that's how the thing goes. But those just seem like basic actions, right? But it actually goes a long way for your mental health and manages stress for you, and just gives you a positive perspective and view of the world. And it helps you manage your stress more than you think. And hopefully this also reminds you to just nurture yourself, even when you feel like you're so stressed and busy with life and there's no time for you to take care of yourself and you have so many things to get done. Because just thinking that way just shows that you don't prioritize yourself enough. You are able to prioritize all these other tasks, but not yourself, you, the person who is doing the tasks. So that's just a reminder, no matter how small the act could be, just make sure you're incorporating some kind of way to take care of yourself. The next thing that I want to discuss is how to make a self-care checklist that's convenient for you. Because it's easy to say, oh, I can go on a walk, I'm going to do my skincare, I'm going to make time for myself, but I'm also going to see friends and all these things. And just by the end of the day, you might find that you didn't have time to do everything that you wanted. And I learned that the hard way, because I used to make really long to-do lists for my self-care days and just think that I had to follow this perfect routine and get every task done. But I realized that approaching it that way actually made me more stressed and just completely defeated the purpose of a self-care day, because I was putting so many tasks on my plate that I just forgot the point was to relax and let myself rest. And that's another thing. Self-care looks different for everybody. And I feel like I used to base my self-care days off these aesthetic, popularized routines on social media that everybody was doing. But that's the thing. Self-care might look like staying at home and just watching a movie for someone. And for others, it may be like being social and going out and spending time with friends and family. So as I walk you through the steps of creating your own checklist, curate this routine to your needs. So the first thing to think about when creating a convenient self-care checklist is your physical needs. You won't be able to enjoy your self-care activities if you don't take care of your physical needs first. And by that I mean getting enough sleep and checking on your health status and making sure you're eating well, etc. And the first order of business is making sure that you're well rested, because you want to make sure that you're getting the right quantity and quality of sleep, because that could define how your entire day will go, because sleep defines your mood and your concentration ability and your energy throughout the day. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep before you start your self-care day. The next thing is making sure that your health is in check. If you're dealing with an illness or you're just not feeling good that day, give yourself a rest day. You don't have to jump right into your self-care day, even if you're not feeling 100% physically. Also eat a good meal to stay energized for the day, because you can quite literally lose all energy just by being hungry, and then you will find that, oh, you don't even have energy to do anything anymore. So make sure you eat a good, energizing meal before you start your self-care day. So those are just the background factors before you start focusing on your mental and emotional needs. The next thing to think about when focusing on your emotional needs is setting boundaries. Emphasizing the self and self-care is significant, and it's important to be able to say no to things that aren't convenient for you or that you don't want to do. Sometimes you can plan your day, but someone might have a different plan that includes you. So communicate that you won't be available on certain days. That way you won't have to compromise your self-care time. However, if you are someone who enjoys company as a form of self-care, I encourage you to schedule a time to meet with people who make you a better person, or someone that you genuinely enjoy being around, because that might be a form of self-care to you. Next is making time for personal growth. Taking time to develop as a person strengthens your sense of self and enhances your relationships and conversations. And that could mean picking up a new hobby or even further exploring knowledge that you already have. So you won't even have to learn something new. You could just be furthering your already acquired knowledge, or comfortably stepping out of your comfort zone to experience new things. And it doesn't even have to be serious. It could be learning a few words in a new language, or watching a new show that you thought you would never watch, or trying a new recipe. Do you get what I mean? It's because you're ultimately creating a new experience for yourself. Your brain doesn't already have that registered, which is creating a new memory. Following that, take a brain break, because once you've advanced your personal knowledge and you've given yourself time for personal growth, it is important to give your brain time to rest. And it's completely normal to not want to use your brain sometimes and just be lazy and just relax and just not have to think about anything. And actually, brain breaks have been proven to improve cognitive skill and promote emotional well-being, especially when you feel burnt out. And a brain break could be a quick power nap, or scrolling on your phone, or doodling, or just simply zoning out and just giving time for your brain to recharge. So that is section 1 of creating your checklist, assessing your needs. The next section of creating your self-care checklist is making yourself activities and goals for your self-care day. This is the taking action part of the checklist. So schedule activities or goals that are realistic and that you look forward to and that you know can be completed. And that is actually the most important part to me, knowing that you can complete them. Because what I used to do is create a reasonable checklist and be like, clean my room, do a face mask, make a good lunch, and just all these good, reasonable things. But then I'd add in a random thing like go to a pottery painting class. Just be cute and aesthetic, and it would not work out. So then I'd get all my other tasks done, and then if I didn't get to go to the pottery painting store, I just feel like my whole self-care day was ruined and I didn't do anything, and I just felt so lazy and useless. But it's more than just that. I forgot to acknowledge that all my other tasks were completed, and those all contributed to my well-being at the end. So my point is, make your activity checklist super reasonable and beneficial to your schedule, so that if you miss one or two things, you won't feel completely bummed out as if every task wasn't completed. But don't make it boring. Keep your checklist engaging and varied so that you aren't bored and just feel like you don't want to even get it done. And then for your goals, set them as soon as you wake up, just so you can have them in the back of your mind throughout the day. And that way you have a constant reminder of what your priority is for the day. And it can be as broad as you want it to be. For example, reduce stress. Take that goal with you and every self-care task that you complete throughout the day. That way, by the end of the day, you can reflect on how well you accomplished that goal and if you met that goal at the end. The last section of the self-care checklist is time management. Allow for flexibility in your schedule, because every day is going to be different. Some days you might need more rest and just want to be at home and not want to socialize. And other days you might feel like going out and interacting with people. So manage your time and think ahead for your self-care day and be productive leading up to that day, so that you're able to just relax and give yourself time and flexibility, and that you won't feel so stressed and feel like you have all these things that you need to get done. Some self-care days won't be completely free too. So you might have other commitments going on in that day. So manage your time to prioritize your self-care tasks. And some ways that you can do that is setting up a time block for every task. So you can allocate between both work and self-care. For example, from 9 to 10 a.m., you're going to journal, for example. And then from 11 to 12 a.m., you're going to do this other self-care thing. That way you don't, get lost in time, and then it's already the end of the day, and then you feel like you had no time to do anything and you were so busy with work. So I hope you guys try out this checklist outline, and I really hope it works for you. Again, adjust it to your needs and your liking, because no matter what, there is no perfect self-care checklist that just works for everybody. Everyone has their own needs and ways that they like to take care of themselves. And even though the internet may portray it as just this thing that you have to do face masks and bubble bath and a movie night and just be alone, it could look different for everybody. And that's the thing. Make it realistic. And it's about what makes you feel like you cared for yourself at the end of the day. And with that being said, that is all for the first episode on self-care. Let this be a reminder that self-care is productive, and to give yourself credit for everything else you do, because you deserve to rest and you deserve to be happy. I hope this episode helped you stress less to be your best. And for more mindset advice and updates on upcoming episodes, follow us on Instagram at Progress Without Stress, and check out our website at progresswithoutstress.com. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode on self-care, and I'll see you in the next episode.